Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really clever financial tool designed to fix a hidden but absolutely critical problem in humanitarian aid, a problem that can stop life-saving work dead in its tracks. I mean, that sounds completely backwards, doesn't it? How can essential work, with the money fully committed, just grind to a halt? Well, the surprising and kind of shocking answer is that it happens all the time. It's a quiet crisis at the very heart of how aid gets delivered. And look, this isn't a new thing. The UN's own inspection unit was pointing this out way back in 2021. They highlighted this fundamental delay that's just baked into the system, this massive gap between when money is promised and when it actually lands where it's needed most. So this delay creates what you could call a super high-stakes waiting game. For the folks on the ground, it's this incredibly uncertain time where the money they've been promised is just out of reach, and actual lives are hanging in the balance. Okay, put yourself in their shoes for a second. You're running a local organization on the front lines of a crisis. You've got a signed contract from a major donor to provide food or medicine. You have to start the work right away, but the actual cash to pay your staff and buy supplies, it's stuck in bureaucratic limbo for weeks, sometimes months. So what happens? The work stops. Plain and simple. Food deliveries get paused. Staff, who are often from the very communities they're trying to help, don't get their paychecks. It's a cash flow gap that has a devastating, very real human cost. All right, so if this problem is so obviously damaging, why is a system still stuck like this? Why hasn't it been fixed? Well, the proposal we're digging into today points to three main reasons. First up, misaligned incentives. Basically, the big donors want to maintain financial control, which is understandable, but the side effect is that it pushes all the real-world cost of these delays onto the smallest groups on the front line. Second, under-resourced localization. That's a fancy way of saying we're failing at the goal of getting money directly into the hands of local experts. And third, finance is just inaccessible. There's no simple, affordable way for these groups to get a short-term loan to bridge that gap. Let's just zoom in on that second point for a second. Under-resourced localization. To really get how big this problem is, you only need to know one number: 4.5%. That is it. We're talking less than a nickel for every single dollar of humanitarian funding that went directly to the local and national organizations. You know, the ones who are always the first to respond and the very last to leave in a crisis. And when you compare that to the goal, well, it's pretty staggering. Years ago, the international community made a promise called the Grand Bargain to get 25% of funding directly to local groups. The reality today isn't even a fifth of that. This huge shortfall is exactly why these cash flow gaps can be so catastrophic. And that brings us to the proposal itself. It's a really elegant idea designed to fix this one specific problem. It's called BridgeReady. Now, to get how it works, we just need to understand one little bit of financial jargon: a receivable. It's just a formal name for a payment that you're owed. So think about it this way. If you're a freelancer and you send an invoice after you finish a job, that invoice is your receivable. For an aid group, their signed grant agreement is their receivable. It's a promise of money. So what BridgeReady does is act like that missing financial bridge. It treats that signed contract, that rock-solid promise of future payment, as if it's collateral, and it provides a small, short-term cash advance against it. It's a simple step that turns a promise on paper into cash in the bank, and that lets the life-saving work keep going without any interruptions. Okay, so what does this actually look like in the real world? The proposal lays out a super clear 6-step process, and the whole idea is to be both simple and totally transparent. It all starts by finding a solid signed grant agreement. Then the local organization gets vetted. You know, do your homework, check their track record, make sure they're legit. After that, some standard legal documents get signed, and then boom, the cash is dispersed. When the original grant money finally shows up, the organization just repays the advance. And, this part is crucial, the system learns from every single transaction to get faster and smarter for the next time. Now, this is where the financial model gets really, really clever. It's designed to have this outsized impact, to make every single dollar of investment do so much more work. The whole proposal starts with a pilot project, and it's powered by a single catalytic investment of just $100,000 to prove that the model works. A little over half of that, 54%, goes into something called the revolving advance pool. The other 46% is used to build the institutional plumbing, and, the legal templates, the compliance tools, all the standard procedures. That plumbing stuff is a one-time cost. Once it's built, it can be used again and again, which makes every future transaction cheaper and faster. But the real magic, the part that creates so much value, is in that revolving pool of cash. So let's look at that pool. It's $54,000. Now, the key here is this is not a traditional grant that just gets spent once and then it's gone. No, this money is designed to work way, way harder. This money is designed to be used, repaid, and then used again, over and over. It's a revolving fund. An advance goes out, work gets done, the big donor payment finally comes in, the advance is repaid to the pool, and that same money is immediately ready to go right back out the door to help another organization. This is the force multiplier effect. That initial $54,000, if it's revolved just 6 times in a year, can enable $324,000 of uninterrupted aid. That's a 6-fold return on impact from the very same pot of money. It's incredible. And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. We often think of innovation as, some new app or a high-tech drone. But what if the most powerful innovations are actually just smarter, fairer financial tools that fix the broken parts of the system and, just allow good people to get on with their work?